Yeah, that's an easy one actually for me because even though I've been in the media space, been in the broadcaster, I live with a lifelong stutter. I still have it today, but I've learned how to overcome that stutter. And my grandmother was the first one to understand that Rich, even though he couldn't speak well, had a brilliant mind and a creative mind. So she literally would have me over on weekends and she would have me read comic books out loud. And I did the voice of the Batman, of Superman, Green Lantern. I did the voice of the Penguin. And she would literally encourage me to do the cartoon voices that I heard on Saturday morning to help me get my mind and my mouth to sync up, to tell the stories and share the information that I wanted to do. And it revolutionized my mind, my speaking, my hope for the future. I was in my early teens, and she literally began to unlock what was trapped inside of me.
Welcome to the Kindness Factor podcast, sharing life-changing personal stories of the transformational impact of deep kindness. Hosted by
Dr. Ilya, the happiness doctor,
and Randy McNeely, the kindness giver. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to another episode of the Kindness Factor podcast. I'm Randy McNeely, the kindness giver, here joined with my amazing traveling co-host who is coming to us from another location. Ilya, where are you at this week?
We are in Bruges in Belgium. Just got here yesterday. This beautiful historic medieval town with cobblestone streets and amazing churches and buildings and architecture and a thriving community. I mean, people from all over the world here, so it's really beautiful, beautiful to be here. But I'm coming home next week. We'll be back in Colorado and back in the U.S.
Well, straight from Dr. Ilya Gorgoris, the happiness doctor. He's got that beautiful background. It's just a natural background, the place he's staying. So we are totally pleased to welcome into our studio Rich Trigger Bontrager, who is an internationally acclaimed media personality. He's a celebrity talk show host. He's a producer. He's a media and public speaker. He's had a career spanning over 35 years. Trigger leverages his vast experience to help leaders, individuals, and companies, get that, leaders, individuals, and companies build their own media empires while learning how to shine in the camera space. Rich, and you know, I can say right now, and you guys can see from the audience, Rich knows what he's doing. I mean, check out that background. Rich, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Randy, and good doctor. Really good to see you again.
You know, and I want to tell our audience, I had the privilege and the honor to be on Rich's show, Rock the Stage. And as you will find out in the next half an hour or so, this is a man of humanity. I mean, he's got humor, but humanity reigns. He's got a heart of gold. He's helped thousands and thousands of people over in his career, but his heart is in the right place. There's experience, maturity, joyfulness, and like that $1 million smile. So let's get started. Welcome to the Kindness Factor podcast, Rich. And as you know, yeah, it's just great having you here. The minute you and I met, it was like an instant connection. I'm like, we gotta have him on our show. So kindness has been a big part of your life as well. So, and this is probably the toughest question because we ask you to pick one act of kindness from your past that was so transformative that it really penetrated your heart and your soul. And as a result, you were never the same person again. So can you take us back to a time when somebody did something for you above and beyond the call of duty that really touched you?
Yeah, that's an easy one actually for me because even though I've been in the media space, been in the broadcaster, I live with a lifelong stutter. I still have it today, but I've learned how to overcome that stutter. And my grandmother was the first one to understand that Rich, even though he couldn't speak well, had a brilliant mind and a creative mind. So she literally would have me over on weekends and she would have me read comic books out loud. And I did the voice of the Batman, of Superman, Green Lantern. I did the voice of the Penguin. And she would literally encourage me to do the cartoon voices that I heard on Saturday morning to help me get my mind and my mouth to sync up and to tell the stories and share the information that I wanted to do. And it revolutionized my mind, my speaking, my hope for the future. I was in my early teens, and she literally began to unlock what was trapped inside of me.
I love what you just said there. She helped you unlock what was trapped inside of you. And think about that. How many years has it been since your grandma first started doing that with you?
Well, she passed away years ago, but we literally started, I think, when I was around 10.
And
And
you're
about
and how old?
yeah, so around 10 years old, it had been a horrible train wreck all my life. And then by around age 12, I was getting more confident. And I could finally read out loud in school, because up until then, the kids would laugh, would tease, or ridicule me as I'm reading in classroom. And I cannot tell you how many times I dropped the book, ran out, crying my eyes out because of the ridicule, the bully, and I felt horrible.
Yeah, I
What strikes me, Rich, is that your biggest weakness in terms of communication has become your greatest strength after all
Yes.
the decades. Isn't that something?
And that's all due to her kindness, her love, her encouragement, her patience. And she literally saw something that even my parents struggled to see. They just couldn't quite I mean, my parents knew I was a reader because I read everything, but they knew I couldn't get it from here to here. And she saw there was a pathway to do it.
well, see, think about that. Decades have passed, right? Since
Yeah.
she first started working with you.
Yeah.
She saw in you
Mhm.
who you could become.
Yes.
She gave you the opportunity. She worked with you. She inspired you. She encouraged you. She opened doors to you being able to become the great man that you are now. And think about what her legacy has done for you.
Oh,
Because think about what would the world be like without Rich Bontrager? If the people that you have touched through your speaking, through all your media efforts, everything, had not had a chance to listen to or hear Rich Bontrager, think about the world would be so different. All the people that you've impacted, and in reality, all the people that your grandmother has impacted.
yes. Yes. Because her passion for me was we're all people of faith. And
Yeah.
as much as I wanted to be a broadcaster, I wanted to be a pastor growing up. And at that time, it was like, I can't read. I can't open up the scriptures. I can't walk up to a microphone. No one's going to come listen to the babbler. And she literally unlocked all of that for me and believed. And again, Saul, you're going to be that guy, and they will come to listen to you. And she even said, partly, you have that warm, fun personality, but your humility, because you know where you've been, is always going to keep you grounded. And she was
Mhm.
absolutely true. She fed all that into me and really set me on a great path for the future.
Well, her words of wisdom that go far beyond stuttering and giving you confidence to speak your mind. I love what she said. It's you have this gift. I see it in you. I'm going to help you get it out. And she did it in a playful way by becoming superheroes, which I think is really very clever way that she got you to to embrace that. But also to say, no matter how successful you become, no matter how big you are, no matter how many people you impact and influence, because you have humility in your heart. And that's what I love about Rich Rand. Just so you know, what he just says now,
Yeah.
I felt it with him. When we talked, we laughed, we almost cried. I mean, it was just a heart-to-heart connection. He's a giant, but he's so humble at the same time, and self-deprecating at times, and just really just a joyful human being. So you have blessed, like, and the people you've blessed, it's like the ripple effect. They have also blessed other people as a result of you giving them an opportunity. So it's a gift that keeps on giving.
Well, and if I may, that phrase "I see in you" has stuck with me all my life. The fact that my grandmother asked me said, "I see in you." She allowed me to dream a big dream, step in the big dream. But those words transformed how I deal with other people, because I have worked with ex-cons, recovering addicts, people that have shattered lives and marriages, and I am able to literally hear and listen and watch and go, "I see in you." And when people hear that belief and you're giving life back to them, they literally drink it up. They really inhale it and go, I didn't know that about myself. It's one of the most powerful phrases I think I've ever heard in my life.
Can you
What
just
attracted you to that population out of curiosity, the ex-convicts and the addicts and so on? What attracted you to that to help those people?
It was kind of funny because my dad was a lawyer and a judge. And here I am trying to be a public speaker and be a pastor. And I believe that God loves us all, but often they're cast aside, they're rejected, they're put into a box, and they're told they can never come back. My belief, my hope for mankind is we can all come back. There's
Yeah.
always still, and you and I talked about this, there's gold in people. I
Yes.
believe there's gold inside of everyone. It's just covered up, it's hidden, It's been beat down. And when I see in you comes out, they go, what do you see? And I start talking about the gold, and they're like smiling for the first time. No one's ever told me I have gold. No one ever told me I have this. And when they begin to hear it multiple times, they begin to start believing. And then they're like, how do I go get it? How do I find it?
Well, you think about this. You have, when you say, I see in you, and you're looking for the gold, and that you just nail that. People want to know, well, how do I find that? How do I get to it? Where do I go? What can I do? Ilya, isn't this reminding you of a conversation we had just recently? And think about it. What did Lisa Perttu do when she's working a corrections officer? What did she say? How did she treat the people that she worked with? Every one that she talked about, and she did it during our podcast, talked about how she saw every one of those men as a gentleman, and she treated them with respect. And she looked at them and saw them as the human beings that they were, not as the cast aside convicts that that society sees them as. And so Rich talking about this, thinking about this again, the power of seeing people, as human beings who deserve to be valued and appreciated. So Rich, let's carry this a little further.
Yeah.
What are you say how are you working to pay it forward? How do you come in contact with the people that are in the correction situation, or whatever situation they're in? How do you do that?
So when we were a full-fledged ministry and my girls were very young, we intentionally said, we're going to break down the walls. We're going to have more barbecues in our backyard than anybody else. And so we invited these people from halfway houses, recovering homes, and our neighbors, other people, and we blend everyone together. There wasn't us versus them. It was just us. And we told them one of the funnest things was, you have refrigerator rights in my house. If you don't like what we have on the table, if you don't like what we're cooking up, you literally walk into my door, you don't knock, you walk in, open the refrigerator, and you grab what you want.
Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. We sincerely appreciate you. My friends, I firmly believe that every one of us has an inner kindness hero that is just waiting to be released every day. I'd like to give you a pathway for releasing yours. How? By helping us to flood the earth with as much kindness as possible, to create a global kindemic that spreads love, hope, and happiness. Like and subscribe to each of our social media channels listed in the description, and take out a subscription through Buzzsprout for as little as $10 per month. You can help us to continue to spread the kindemic by bringing you great content here and taking our transformative kindness message to a much broader global audience through the Kindness Factor Human Interest series. Release your inner kindness hero today. Thank you for your support.
And they always hesitated. They always looked at me like there's a catch.
Are you nuts?
Right, what's the catch?
Right. And they're always looking for it. And my daughters got so enthralled with this too. It's like, Dad, can we have them over for Christmas? So we started having these recovering, broken home people that most people would say, no way, this is my family time. My girls are saying, Dad, they're family. Let's have them over for Christmas. And it didn't just impact me, impact my kids. It impacted everyone. And you saw them joy and laugh. The fact that they didn't have to knock on my door. They literally opened up my house and walk in every Wednesday night for our little discussion group. That barrier of the door was removed probably for the first time in a long time. And they felt liberated, and the smiles and laughs came the minute they walked in the door. They were smiling and laughing at me. They were ready for just the love and the affection, and there was no barriers anymore.
It reminds me of the scripture, knock and you shall be answered. But in your case, they didn't even have to knock. The door was open. They didn't have to talk. That's so beautiful about it. And your legacy, you're speaking about your kids.
Yeah.
That they grew up in an environment like that where there are no barriers, no silos, no divisions, but rather just plain us, because the three of us, we're all believers, we're all God's children. And we're all part of the same race. I keep talking about that, the human race. There is no other race. We're all part of the same race. Like we're all part of the human race. And we have a lot more in common than what divides us, honestly. When we open up the door, and the door to your house is symbolic, I talk about the door to your heart.
Yes.
That's it. Magic happens.
Well,
the
and
beautiful
and
thing-
and and just take that symbolism just one step further is for those who have been behind bars, you hear it clang behind you and you're locked in. And you do not have a key. You could not walk freely in and out. Every door is open for you and closed behind you. When I literally, and again, this is part of my own self-reflection of realizing what God was doing, but literally having them open up their own door. And we didn't even have the big door. Weather permitting, it was just a screen door to keep the bugs out. They literally could walk right in. For them, many of them had never done that for years and years. Walk into someone else's house freely. It was a very liberating, but also a very humble thing of seeing them come back to life and seeing them trust themselves and seeing them come to a Christmas and we had a gift for them. They go, I don't have anything for you. I don't care. And the love, the humanity, the transformation is so very powerful.
It's God's work. You're
Yes.
doing it.
Three key
Wow.
words. You said three key words: love, humanity, transformation. They're all interconnected. When you love people,
Yeah.
when you open your eyes and can see people for the valuable, beautiful people that they are, beings that they are, you know, that ability, that opens hearts, that opens minds, that opens opportunities. And that's what transforms lives. That's what transforms lives. That's why, you know, you think about it, all those actions, all those things that you did, what were you doing? You're like a honeybee. And here's why I say that. Honeybees go from place to place, pollinating things, right? What are you doing? Every interaction you had, you were pollinating their lives with love. That's what kindness does. Kindness pollinates the world with love, because kindness is love in action. And that's all those kind actions. You're just putting love into action, pollinating their lives, making them better, helping them grow, helping them relive. You're fertilizing them. I mean, hate to, maybe that's kind of a bad way to term it, but think about that. You were planting, you were nurturing them, you were helping their souls come back to life.
Well, and we had one individual that was not a public speaker, more of a background type of guy. But when we began to do all these barbecues, he literally called me up one day and he said, hey, I'm out at Home Depot and they have a giant man grill with wings and everything else. And we were using my small little Weber grill at the time. He goes, I want to buy it. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I want to buy it for our barbecues. So I have someplace I can cook food for all these people. I'm going to get all the gear. I'm going to take care of it. It'll be mine, but it's really yours. And we're going to use it for every bar. So it literally transformed a very shy introvert to get a spatula and a grill and say, here's how I'm going to connect with people by flipping burgers and brats for him. And that was his act of kindness. Now, he didn't say a lot, but he had a great time just taking orders and doing this. And he literally financially invested in what our passion was of loving people right where they're at.
Rich, what was your grandma's first name?
Willeen Bontrager.
So Willeen blessed you in more ways than she could even possibly imagine.
Oh,
Because I mean, because now I can see, like, when you play the tape forward, right?
Yeah.
The way that you bless people's lives, the way that you opened up your home, the way that you showed your children what it's like to serve humanity, not in theory, but in practicality, with your barbecues and the open door policy you have, that's your grandma's legacy.
oh yeah.
I'm sure it's more than that, and that's your legacy, and that it's passed down to your kids. We could talk to you for hours, man. This is what I was telling you. This is the reason why I wanted this man here. But I didn't know a lot of this stories, so it really surprised me, some of these stories too. So I know our time is short. I know you have lots of pearls of wisdom. We'd like to ask you to name 3 of them. If you can share with our audience, like 3 pearls of wisdom. These are the 3 things, like maybe to improve their quality of life, to think perhaps in a more transformational way. What would they be? What's your 3 pieces of advice or pearls of wisdom?
Well, number 1 is smile. It's
Why?
amazing.
Yeah,
Just
tell me
smile.
why.
Just smile. There is a contagious affection of people smiling. A couple things happen when you smile. People wonder what you're up to. People almost automatically smile with you because they're thinking, okay, this is kind of cool and fun. But most people are so stoic, so frozen, just having joy on your face. again, the scriptures talk about the radiation of God, that glow, that radiance. I think as a believer, we're supposed to show that and demonstrate that. And I think it's missing in our world. As simple as it sounds, smile more. Second thing I would be is to, no matter what you know about a person, treat them like family. And I think that's so lost. I think it's completely lost in our world right now. We don't treat people like family. We treat them like the enemy, the other person, whatever the label of our country is putting on somebody, or some other country is putting on somebody. They're family. Because as you both have said, it's humanity. We're all human.
Right.
We don't care what color, what background, what history you have. We're human. And let's just start there and get back to the basics. And then, and this is where some people push back a little bit, but I always believe in the best in people.
I do too.
Always.
We do.
Always. It's so hard for some people to believe the best in somebody when they've heard so much other things about them. But I just don't want to buy into the narrative.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful.
I know he's got the best camera equipment and all the studio stuff and all that stuff, but his countenance, like you talked about the light and the smile, there's a certain countenance that Rich has, glows, and you can just see it. This is why I love having you on our show, man. I'm so glad you came, and so glad we got to spend this time. I wish we had more time. We gotta have Rich back in a few months again.
We'll have to have him back again.
Yeah.
Well, let me add a fourth bonus.
Please.
Yeah.
Real quickly. Every day is an adventure to me. And I've been talking to a lot of people. They don't view Monday's the most boring day. You get up, you slug it back to the work. It's like, oh my gosh, I gotta go back to work. One of the biggest transformational mindsets is every day is an adventure. I hope for the best. I dream for the best. I invest myself in the best, but I really don't know what's going to happen. So to me, every day is an amazing adventure. What's going to happen around the corner? I mean, I think when you start living that way, curious about the day, I think you're going to live a healthier, stronger life too.
Amen.
Absolutely. Now, I want to throw something out there to our audience. It's just take the time. You've listened to what we've spoken about today. You listened to what Rich said. We're talking about seeing people for who they are, being willing to open your hearts to them, to give people the benefit of the doubt, to love people, and the 3 nuggets that Rich just gave to us. Take the time to stop and ask yourself, how am I doing in these areas? What am I doing to make a difference? What am I doing? How am I doing at seeing people for who they are? Because all the things that we've talked about today, there's been a feeling during this whole conversation, a feeling of caring, a feeling of power that comes when you care about people. Our world needs that love more than ever. We need it. We all need it. Our hearts need it. Our souls need it. Take the time to stop and think about what we've talked about today and how it applies to you. Think about, how does this apply to me, and what can I do to pay this forward? We thank you as our audience for taking the time to listen today. We thank you, Rich. Thank you so much for being our guest. Thank you, Elia, for tuning in clear from Belgium. This truly is a international broadcast. So we're thankful for the opportunity to be here today. We wish you the best during the coming week. And as you're going forward every day, remember that with kindness,
everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Rich, you got to say it too. With kindness,
everybody wins.
There you go.
Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. And again, Rich, such a pleasure to have you on our show, man.
Thanks for having me on, gentlemen.
Thank you.